Okay.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. We are here in the city of Sacramento, California, and we are here, as you can see on your screens, Mr. Alexander Cummings from the ANC, currently the leader of the CPP. We have different media outlets here that will be introducing themselves in just a little bit, but would like for you to please share the show, invite your friends, um, invite everyone else that wants to hear from Mr. Cummings and the CPP and ANC as well. Please invite them. We're here to talk about trending national issues. We're blessed to be here. We're in California. It's very beautiful, but it's a rainy day, but we're having some good time. We are having some good time here. So we'd like to start this program in the next 1 minute here.
This one.
So we are going to start off here with, we're going to start here with the very first one of our sisters here,
You can turn on page. Yeah, turn on the
one of our sisters outline here program, which is
Put it in your ear.
we have Lofa Julius. So please do the introduction here as we get started, Mr. Lofa Julius.
Okay. Uh, we're once again, folks. Those of you joining us from every work of life, everywhere you're joining us from, we want to invite all of you to this broadcast today. Various media network entities are bringing you a live interaction with Mr. Alexander B. Cummings, the political leader of the CPP, today, giving us the opportunity to engage him in discussing variety of issues regarding Mama Liberia. This is an opportunity for all of us to get to know, hear, and understand some of the issues of national concern. So we are very grateful to be here today in the beautiful city of Sacramento. Again, I'm Lofa Julius. There are several other Sickle Conan, Mr. Brown from LPR TV Network, Sam Sito, okay, and Sekou Kana from SKTV. So we want to say welcome, folks. Do us a favor, share the video, invite other people to be a part of this conversation today. As it is very important that we do ourselves due diligence to share the information from our future, or one would say, yeah, president. and and so it is very important that we give ourselves the opportunity to learn what they have to present to us. So, Mr. Alexander Cummings, we want to say welcome to Sacramento and welcome to the media here on like Sikukane.
Thank you very much, Lofa Julius. As you heard it, we are here in Northeast California. Specifically, we are in Sacramento. We are here to bridge this occasion, ANC Global Western region fundraiser, and nobody else could better be here to raise this occasion, but Mr. Alexander B. Cummings. The media outlets are here, as stated by my colleague here, Lofa Julius. This is SKTV, and we have across Africa,
We have LPR
we have
TV.
LPR TV. So, I mean, anything you want to hear, anything you want to know, stay here. We'll be taking some questions on the internet, but if you want to hear anything as it relates to ANC or CPP, the best person to answer the question is here, Mr. Alexander B. Cummings. So SKT will be here to answer all of your questions. You also be given the opportunity to ask the question. I want to say thank you, and we'll thank to uh, what's it,
Mr. Sammy Vito.
Mr. Sam Vito for the station
What? Just introduction of the
introduction of
station.
the station.
Thank you. My name is Sam Sito of LPR. I'm an engineer here in the state of California by profession. Also doing the LPR programming. And welcome, Honorable Cummings, to the rainy Sacramento. And we're hoping Just like Sekou was going introducing the program, so Alfonso is also introducing the program. Let him go ahead, let him continue with the program. When we're ready, we'll go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you to
All right,
everyone here.
excuse me. Where's Jonathan? You guys got to put my camera back here. I understand that, I understand that. With, SKTV introduced himself to the audience. Alfonso is introducing the program, the entire program to the audience, because he's relating it. So if you guys take it out of here, how are we gonna get there?
Okay. Did it think about it if you said acting or the double A?
Even when you were speaking, we could not hear your voice over his voice.
All right, okay, let's go ahead.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Thank you, Mr. Brown. We are going to get started with this program as we're with Mr. Alfonso Sou to join us from LPR TV, who's also relaying this program this afternoon. We'd like to turn quickly to Mr. Cummings to welcome you officially to California, Sacramento to be precise. Mr. Cummings, how are you? How's California treating you so far?
Steve, thank you. Good to be with all of you. Lofa, Sekou, and Alfonso will be joining us soon. To our listening audience, we're having some technical difficulties, but we'll get it all sorted. But it's indeed a pleasure to be here in Sacramento, in California. It is wet and cold, so but the weather will not slow us down. We're excited to be here and to take your questions and the questions from your audience. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. Again, welcome to Sacramento, California. Again, it's a wet day, but we are enjoying the weather here. We'd like to start with a couple of teasers here before we get the different stations going here on this program. Mr. Cummings, when was the last time you were in Sacramento, California?
So my first visit to Sacramento, last time I was in California, I was in the Los Angeles area, and it must have been maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So it's been a while. So it's wonderful to be back in the great state of California. I've visited Northern California, San Francisco, Oakland area. At one time, I was a guest speaker at an event at Stanford University, and I visited with some Liberians here. Last time I was in Los Angeles was also for another visit. So it's good to be in California, good to be in Sacramento for the first time, the state capital of this great state of California. I think California is the fourth or fifth largest economy in the world. So it's wonderful to be here to make connections with Liberians and Californians for potential collaboration with our government and the people of Liberia.
Yes, in terms of economy, California is one of the biggest around the world and in the United States as well. I want to say thank you for being here. So, Mr. Cummings, with the weather, how are you coping? You came from Liberia about this time in Liberia. I'm not sure if the a dry season. Let me put it that way. And yeah, you are in the winter or wet weather. How do you adapt and cope with the changes here?
Correct. Well, I often say we cannot let the weather be an excuse for not getting things done, for not doing things. So you're right, Steve. It is dry season in Liberia, although it's been raining. So climate change, global warming is actually real because up to the day we left, there were thunderstorms in Liberia, which is unprecedented for December. And all the way here to Sacramento, where it's actually wet and cold, it's damp. But I emphasize, though, the weather cannot be an excuse for not getting things done. The weather cannot be an excuse for not getting from point A to point B, being late for meetings, for getting things fixed. And so, yes, weather is very different, cool and damp, but it's okay. We got on our scarf, our wool blazer, and we're gonna rock and roll. Weather not an excuse, Steve.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cummings. That being said, we will also like to appreciate the AMC Global at large for inviting us here to be part of this conversation with Mr. Cummings. We'd like to start off with Mr. Lofa Julius with the first two questions as we get into the program today.
And again, to just re-emphasize the the appreciation to the ANC Global for the invitation to Across Africa and other media network to be a part of today's conversation, Mr. Cummings. I would like to start off with the fact that you appear to be not so tolerant of excuses when it comes to progress and implementation. As you just rightfully stated, let not the weather deter you from your achievement or ability to accomplish what you want. As of recent, we have heard a lot of rumors or statement about you having to connect with the people back home. What are you using as a mechanism, or what is the institution ANC using as a mechanism to get your message across to the local folks in Liberia? And I want to say, I mean, the masses, as we are often referred to, in order to have them to understand your vision and goal for Liberia. Let's start with that.
Yeah, Lofa, look, I think our opponents overstate, the fact that we're not making progress because we are. We have momentum or wind at our backs.
Mhm.
Do we still have work to do? Yes. I've always considered myself the underdog in any situation because it forces me to work harder, to be more determined and more committed. I've been underestimated almost my entire life, which has actually worked to my advantage. And that is happening again. So, do we have work to do? Yes. Are we connecting with our people? Yes. Are we making progress? Yes. Do we have momentum? Yes. Do we need more momentum? Yes. But no excuses. Nothing will get in the way. We will continue to make our case to Liberian people to give us the opportunity to serve them. I think about this more as serving our country and our people. I remind Liberians, I remind you, Lofa, and thanks for that good first question, that for me, the presidency is not the destination, it's a means to an end. The destination is how we work with the Liberian people to change our country for the benefit of all Liberians. This is what this is about. The job just gives me the flexibility, the opportunity to serve our people, to work with our people to change Liberia. And we're making good progress in that regard, but we still have a lot of work to do.
And finally, with my second question, Mr. Cummings, what sets you apart from the rest of the 200 candidates, exaggeration in quotation, participated in this upcoming 2023 race? What is it that the folks in the market can use to say it sets him apart from everybody else who's contesting or who may be contesting?
There are quite a few things I think that set me apart, but in the interest of time, I think the most important one is of the major candidates running, and there are three major candidates. There will be other candidates for sure, as you say,
Mhm.
I look at quote unquote 200 as an exaggeration. But the three major candidates, Alexander Cummings, Joseph Boakai, George Weah. What sets me apart from them and all others is the fact that I have the most experience, the best knowledge, the best connections to grow our economy, to create jobs for the Liberian people, to grow the private sector, to create a business-friendly environment where Liberian businesses can prosper and be successful, and where foreign direct investment will come into our country so we can grow this bowl of rice I always talk about, which is the economy, where we can create jobs. And by doing that, we can fix the educational system, we can fix the healthcare system, we can fix infrastructure. But I stand apart. I grew up in the private sector. I know how business people think. I know what it takes to attract investment. I know what it takes to grow the economy. As the saying goes, that's my area. And so that sets me apart among many other things. But that sets me apart from everybody else is the ability to make sure
Yeah.
our market women can can get financing to grow their businesses. Our business people can get micro loans. Uh, we can stop importing and start investing in agriculture. I bring the experience, I bring the knowledge, I bring the know-how, and that sets me apart from everybody else.
Thank you. At this point, I guess I would just have it over to our colleagues in studio, Sekou Kane, to now pose his two questions. Thank you, Mr. Singh.
Thank you very much. First, once again, you are watching us here live in Sacramento with Mr. Alexander B. Cummings. We are here to cover the program, the fundraiser by the Western region, part of the ANC Global, and we are grateful for being invited here. Mr. Cummings, uh, by the way, before I ask my two first questions, how are you doing?
I'm well. And Sekou, let me put it back to you. How are you doing? Because I know you've been off the air for a while and taking care of your health. It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
It's good to see that wonderful smile. So
Thank you.
I'm doing well. I hope you are doing well as well.
Yeah, I am. Thank God I'm doing well.
Wonderful.
That's why we try to be here. Yeah, so you know, my question to you, I wanted to ask this question a long time ago since after you made a selection of your team. People are saying, commies always say, you cannot continue to do the same thing over and over and expect different result. And by definition, some people would think it's your action. Some people think it's the people that come around you. Can you clearly tell us what do you mean by doing one thing over and over and expect different results? Because a lot of people feel the same kind of people that are with the current government, that were with other government, are the same people you recruit to be in your team. So what do you mean when you say doing one thing over and over, but they expect different result? What does that mean? Clearly explain to different people.
Yeah, happy to do that. First of all, Liberia is made up of a wide variety of people, citizens. And I remind our people that I'm running to be president of all Liberians, not of any one tribe, any one gender, any one religion, or just good Liberians or just bad Liberians. I want to be president of all Liberians. And the team we are building will comprise Liberians from every walk of life. Liberians from the past, from the present, and our young people who represent the future of Liberia. So the team we're assembling is a reflection of the country. It reflects who we are. And when we talk about doing things differently, it means many things. But one example I like to give is that we are going to put processes and systems in place. We're going to make sure everybody follows the rules, follow the process. And those people who people think, oh, were from the past, whatever else, we will expect them and all Liberians to follow the same process. And by doing that, we'll get the correct behaviors. There will be consequences to anybody who misbehave, who breaks the rules, who breaks the law, whether you are from the present or the past. So it's about putting in processes, systems, ways of doing things. The way to get predictable, recurring results is not to base it on one individual, because that individual leaves, somebody else comes, you don't get repetition, you don't get predictability. You put processes and systems in place, and then you will get predictability because everybody will be expected to follow that. I also like to use this example, Sekou. You take Liberians, us, and you bring us to Europe, you bring us to the US, North America, Canada, wherever, Sacramento, California, Phoenix, Arizona, Raleigh, North Carolina, and we follow the rules. We go to work on time. We don't drink and drive. We behave, right? You take the same us, you put on Liberia, and everybody is lawless. So the difference, what we'll do different is we will ensure that everybody follow the rules. Big shot, small shot, Yana ball, market woman, everybody, president, everybody will follow the rules. Everybody will follow the system. And we'll not keep doing the same thing where everybody can be lawless, do what they want. That would be the difference. So some of those same people we're complaining about, they will behave, they will excel in the process and systems we create. And that will be the difference in the coming administration.
Okay, thank you very much. So my next question would be, since you nominated your team, I think they have got to work. I'm pretty sure they are working. But based on your own internal polling and understanding of things as is right now, are you seeing any dividend from that team that you assembled?
We are seeing tremendous dividends. The work they are doing is obvious. We see it, we feel it. The progress we're making, Sekou, within the next, I would say, 8 to 12 weeks maximum, you will see the number of Liberians that will begin to publicly support, join, and endorse us because of the work the team is doing on the ground. We are working, the team is now focused on a rally on December 17th, a week from today, at SKD Stadium. Uh, and the energy around that rally is growing. We will send a statement to this government that the Liberian people are tired of the suffering. And that team is focused on that. A few weeks ago, you recall, we were able to get all the Gribbles from across the country to come and support and endorse us, meaning Gribbles from River G, Gribbles from Maryland, Gribbles from Grand Crew, Gribbles from Sino. And that team put this effort together. So the team is making a difference. The team is making progress. We are mobilizing people across the country. We've identified specifically mobilizers and we've trained them in Maserado, in Magibi, in Grand Bassa, and we're rolling out that program into Bong, Nimai, other counties, where we will have active Liberians who are going door to door to make the case for our servantship of Liberia. So the team is making tremendous progress, and we're very proud of them. And more to come, though. More work to do, more work to come from them.
Thank you. So on that note, I will pass it on to my colleague here, and he will introduce his station and then ask his question.
Well, thank you, Sekou. Welcome, Honorable. My name is Samson Toll from Tolltown, Barranquilla County, Republic of Liberia. I live here in Sacramento as a civil engineer, roadway engineer to be specific. But I'm also a political junkie who has followed many of you on many occasions. I'll take a little bit different trend here than what my field colleague has gone on. I've gone through and done a lot of research on you. And as a Liberian, to see another Liberian be able to attract smart, not just Liberian, American, South African, people from all over the world, and come and listen to you. Somehow, I'm very proud of that, to be honest.
Thank you.
I'm also proud to know that you, as a Liberian, also from the Southeast, able to use your own brain. You got buy here, you got money here to talk to Coca-Cola to get a job. You came and you believe in you and you demonstrate your ability to lead. And it took you and put you on top. That's also bring a lot of pride as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
The question that I have, and by the way, I'm negotiating with your media group to make sure, hopefully I'll be able to host you one-on-one and I will expand deeper onto many of the questions, two of the questions that I'm going to be asking. The question that I have: why Liberia? With all of the prestige you have, people, your colleagues, people you serve with, have tremendous respect for you. And I'm not just saying, like I said, I've done so many research in terms of videos, not just Liberia politics video. I stay away from that. I go all the way back because I want to know where Honorable Comey is coming from. Why Liberia? What exactly moving you to put yourself in family, not in harm way, but in terms of respect among your colleagues? Why Liberia?
Samson, thank you. Thank you for those very kind words. Actually, been to Tour Town in Grand Juda as well. I think they call it Tour City though. So
Yes, those are the
yeah, exactly. See, I've been there because they corrected me when I call it Tour Town. And I've traveled the length and breadth of our country in Grand Juda, no exception. But thank you for those very kind words. Thank you for the acknowledgement. But the bottom line is, I often say I've been very blessed in life. Blessed to be a Liberian loafer. Something I'm very proud of. Blessed because you don't pick, the parents you born to. I blessed my parents were hardworking. They started out very poor. My father was an outside child. My mother only finished high school. But they had good work ethic, they had good values, and they instilled those things in me, in us, my sisters. And so that's a blessing. Um, and as you said, I came to this country in two major corporations. At 36 years old, I became an officer at the Pillsbury Company at the time, the youngest at the time. And then at Coca-Cola, I became the top two, three executive globally for this big corporation. And it's hard work, discipline. But I look at all of these blessings, and I look at Liberia, and the country of my birth, where my neighbors drink buried. Um, and I said to myself, I gotta go back and find a way to help Liberia. That we can't let the country, with all the talent we've had, with all the resources we have, let the country lament. And I think God blessed me with these experiences to allow me, to give me the chance to go back and work with Liberians so we can change our country. And so I'm passionate about it. I'm committed to it. As I said earlier, something is not about the job. It's not about the trappings of the job. That doesn't interest me. It's about how we use the job to influence Liberia, influence Liberians, work with Liberia so we can change this country. We can do better. Liberia deserves better. And I'm committed. My family is supportive. I thank God my wife is supportive. Many Liberians are supportive. I want to acknowledge the CPP, who I am the political leader of. Although this is an ANC event, but ANC is part of the CPP. I want to acknowledge CPP USA and the hard work they're doing. But all of us working together is what it would take to change Liberia. So I'm committed. I'm passionate. I believe it can be done. I'm happy to take all of the abuse because nothing worthwhile comes easily. The success I've had came from hard work, discipline, focus. Nobody gave me on a silver platter, as you say. It wasn't my mom company, my father company. Lofa didn't help me get ahead or sickle. And so changing Liberia would take hard work. I remind Liberians too that our country will not change because we talk it or we wish it. It will change because we make the sacrifice and we do the hard work. And I'm committed to doing that. I believe we can and must. And so I'm pleased with the progress we're making. But as I said earlier to Lofa, we've got even more work to do to make the case. But thank you for your research. Thank you for the compliments. And I want to promise you and everybody listening that I will work very hard every day not to disappoint the Liberian people because we deserve better. We can do better as a country, as a people. And no excuses. We'll not allow anything to get in our way in terms of excuses. Oh, the weather bad. Oh, things are hard. Yeah, things will always be hard. Weather will always be bad. We got to overcome those things. Because somebody did it one way in the past, don't mean we'll do it the same way in the future. We'll do things different. We'll do things better. We'll hold each other accountable And I want Liberian people to hold me accountable. I remind Liberians that the president, the ministers, they don't get paid. They're not doing us a favor. And so when they don't do the job, we will hold them accountable and we'll not apologize for doing that. And if God bless me, I assume the leadership of our country, I want to be held accountable. I want Liberian people to hold my feet to the fire. Because that's the only way we'll move this country ahead, if we hold each other accountable to do the things that are right for Liberia, for our country, for our people. Thank you.
One last question, not last, but at least we'll go to each. The next one is, in one of your interviews, they ask a question: how do you get this job as a chief of the Coca-Cola branch that you were heading? How do you get this job going? Do you get involved yourself? And I believe your response was, yeah, I am the leader, but I have people around who trust me, I trust them, and we'll work together. I am not old to learn. I'm not big to learn. I learn from them, they learn from me as well. And I'm just paraphrasing. Please, if you're listening, folks, I'm not quoting. The liberal don't quote, I'm paraphrasing. So the question then is, let's look into your own circle. Do we have a caliber of people with that kinds of capacity to produce for you? You as a head, you know where you want. But can these young people, uh, people who might come in to become a praise sinker, which I'll deal with later, but do you think among us as Liberians that want to work with you, want to make sure you're successful, do we have that capacity from your perspective to be able to be a supporting staff, truly supporting staff that you will need to actually achieve what you're planning to achieve?
The answer is we have some of the caliber and the staff we need. We need more, but they exist uh, amongst Liberians in Liberia and Liberians in the diaspora, U.S., Europe, other parts of the world. We have the talent, we have the skills amongst ourselves. I was having a discussion. He's retired now with the former resident UN person in Liberia. He was a Ghanaian. And he said to me, my brother, between your people here, I'm almost quoting, not I'm paraphrasing too, between your people here in Liberia, your people in the diaspora, and the resources your country you have everything you need to develop the country. You don't need us to come here to be, helping you and that kind of stuff. So today, sometimes I would say we have some of the elements. We have good people, we have committed people, we have passionate people, but we need more, different skills, different experiences. But we will get more. As I was saying to Seku's question earlier, over the next 8 to 12 weeks, you will see more and more Liberians on the ground, in the diaspora, publicly, coming to join to support us. We have a policy team that we put together to look at work in all of the sectors. We're taking this thing very seriously. So in education, in healthcare, in infrastructure, agriculture, tourism, we got teams of Liberians working on it. We also have a team we're talking to now, a think tank in this country who have volunteered to come and work with our policy team to help develop specific actions, things we will do in all the sectors, starting from day one. Trust me, that work is happening. So we don't have everybody we need now, all the skills, but we have the makings, we have the beginnings. And I'm happy with the team we have so far. This is why, to the earlier question, that team will consist of everybody. As long as you're joining us to follow the rules, to help put the process and systems in place, to be held accountable, not to come and play big shot or to come and chat like bro. If you know that, come and join us. And let's together work towards changing our country for the benefit of each and every Liberian. So we're building the team. And I know we have the skills globally uh, to transform our country. It just would take the right leader and the right leadership to make it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samson. We want to continue this conversation here with the news outlets or Facebook WhatsApp, and all of our people that are watching us and following us today. We want to say thank you so much. We want to continue to the next last few questions here, but I'd like to throw in something to Mr. Cummings really quick, because they it seems like it's getting very serious, and so sometimes we got to release ourselves and enjoy ourselves so that we can the war is not ending. So I want to ask Mr. Cummings this question because I saw something on Facebook that I don't think most Liberians are paying attention to, but I pay attention to it. And I've heard some females call me and say, hmm, the Oma brings a different vibe to Mr. Cummings' campaign. So I want to ask Mr. Cummings this question. I've seen your wife on Facebook a couple of times. The first time she caught my attention was when she was dancing. And by the way, she danced, she killed you, she danced with you. Yeah. But that's a side point. Yeah, that's a side point. But let me get to the point. Fast forward, I've also seen her in Liberia kind of immigrating, forming the women, dancing with the women, getting her feet wet, getting down, doing what it takes. What is the secret? What's really going on?
Well, Steve, first of all, I'm disappointed. I didn't hear you talk about the bread and butter issues. Because that's your signature. But thank you. So one of it, not maybe the blessing I had, not even one of, is my wife Teresa. We've been married for 40 years, so we married young, but still we've been married a long time. And part of my success, and for those people who are not married yet, marry well. Um, but part of my success is Teresa. We've traveled around the world. We lived different countries. We lived in Nigeria. We lived in Kenya. We lived in South Africa. We lived in the UK. We've lived in the US. And Teresa has been my life partner, supportive. We have two children, Ayo and Boykai. When I was traveling, working, Teresa's raised those. They're not kids anymore, they're young adults now. Um, and I give her credit, and they turned out to be good children, good people, right? And so she's been a blessing. And she fits in anywhere, whether it was in Nigeria, as I mentioned, or in Kenya, or South Africa, or the US, UK. Teresa just gets along with people. I tend to be the shy one, the introverted one. They say the yin and yang. My wife is the opposite. My wife is the expressive one. She's the one that she remembers names and she mingles with people and she's very comfortable. And so it's kind of good yin and yang, right? And so she will be getting more and more engaged in the campaign. The dancing part I want easy. She's just a much better dancer than I am. But she working with women to form VSL, village savings salons around the country. We actually in discussion with a young Liberian woman. I won't call her name now, but she has agreed to come work with us to help organize these VSL around Liberia. Teresa will spearhead that. Teresa is the one who runs our foundation together with Dr. Brownell, who's here with me on this trip. And so she's been a blessing. Liberians will see more of her. If I may say so myself, I think they will like her. I think they will like what they see. She's a very, very down-to-earth person. And so thanks, Steve, for mentioning her and giving me the chance to acknowledge Teresa, one of my most serious blessings.
Thank you. Just before we get to Lofa, I'd like to, since you put me on the spot, let's get to the bread and butter issue. I know we have about 20 more minutes or so to be done here, but most recently, some Liberians in the opposition have called out and said, Mr. Cummings, the title of the rally is good. It seemed to be headed the right way, but the face of the rally. What do you say to a citizen that tells you, I want to come to the rally, but the face of the rally, Louis Brown, because of him, I can't come there. What do you say?
I would say the face of the rally is them, it's Liberians. It's not Louis Brown, it's not Alexander Cummings, it's not Steve Boley, Lofa, Sampson, Sekou. It's Liberia. the we tire suffering reflects the country, reflects Liberia. So the face is no one individual. The face is the suffering of our people, which is universal. And so I would say to them, come to the rally, come express your disappointment, come and express your suffering. You know, it's symbolic that we're having it at the Samuel Kanyado Stadium, SKD, because that's what President Weah promised us, quote unquote, change for hope. That's what he promised, that although he was inheriting a government where there was freedom, I'm paraphrasing his words, there would be even more political freedom in our country. And so we're going there to remind Liberians of what the president promised, and yet after 5 years, the country is worse off. And in this public manner, I want to say to President Weah and his government, you are responsible for the peaceful execution of that rally, for the security of your citizens. You promised at that stadium you would ensure that there was freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of association. And we're taking you at your word by going to SKD. We will be peaceful, and we expect your police and all your other security folks to ensure that rally is peaceful, because that is our objective, to peacefully share with the Liberian people the suffering you brought upon us. And it's your responsibility to make sure that happens. So the face of the rally is all of us, is the Liberian people, and no one person.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. We'll revert to Lofa for last set of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. And thanks as well, Steve. Mr. Cummings, I just want you to use this opportunity to send a message out to Liberians, especially those in leadership. And based on your experience, you have served in the private sector, done great in the private sector. But I want to use this to highlight a couple of things here. As an advocate, specifically for women and children, I believe that there are a lot of things going on with women and children, especially when it comes to abuse of women and children, domestic violence, and everything else. There are laws in the book, but appears not to be implemented to protect the most vulnerable group of people in any society, that is women, children, and the elderly. Mr. Cummings, what would you do differently to make sure that those group of people are protected upon your ascendancy to the presidency? And then finally, send a message to President Weah today based on his recent action in the country. I guess if you probably follow, he's been out of the country for I don't know how long. I want you to use this opportunity to send a message out to President Weah, and in that response, hopefully answer my question as to what would you do to protect our vulnerable citizens from what they continue to experience in a country where there are laws in the book, but the laws are not protecting them. Instead, the law protects only the very 1 or probably half percent at the top of the food chain.
Great, no, thank you. And two good questions. And so we answer both, Lufa. On protecting the most vulnerable women and young people, it is about enforcing the laws on the books. And this is where a Cummings administration will be different from perhaps any administration in the past, meaning we will enforce the laws of Liberia. And in enforcing the laws of Liberia, we will set the example through our behavior and through the behaviors of the people who are part of the leadership team of the country. And if any Liberian breaks any law, but particularly law with regards to sexual and gender-based violence and other violations against the most vulnerable, we will with vengeance, will enforce the laws. To enforce the laws will require that the law enforcement agencies have the proper leadership with the skills and experience. They have the logistics, the tools they need to do the job. We have to make sure the judiciary is fully led, equipped to do their jobs, and then we'll leave them to do the work. We'll not interfere because Lofa was here in Sacramento and supported me. I'm not suggesting you are being illustrative.
Thank you for that clarity.
But if Lofa violate the rule, violate the laws, we'll punish you, Lofa. Or because you're a celebrity, and which that one is true, you are, it will be no excuse. We will ensure the laws are followed. And then the Liberian people also gotta play a part too. So when your brother or your cousin or your uncle or your father, rapes somebody, for example, we gotta punish them. You can't come beg for them. You can't come say, "Oh, you will bring shame to the family," that your uncle or he helping us, he paying the rent. It will not. This country will not change. It will take the attitude. So no matter who you are, we will enforce the laws of Liberia. We will start by setting the example, and everybody around me will have to set that example. And I say to people who want to be leaders in Liberia, you need to know that now, that you will have to behave differently. Because if you don't, you will be punished. I often say, I hope some of the people who are close to me now do something stupid when we win, to give me the chance to punish them, to send a message. Because that's the way Liberian people will know we're serious about this thing. So we'll enforce the laws on the books, and we'll be very serious about it, no matter who, family, friend, doesn't matter. You break the law, we'll punish you. On the president aspects of the country, I think, and you guys are journalists, so you will research me and correct me on maybe on the next show if I'm wrong. I think other than the president of Cameroon, who's been president for like 40 years, I don't know if any other head of state had been away from his country other than when they're sick, right? I think President Buhari had an extended stay in Nigeria, and there may have been others in the past that will stay away from your country when you're healthy for as long as our president has. I would say shame on him for doing that, knowing the amount of suffering that's taking place in Liberia. We have asked the government, because this is not state secret, how much is the president spending on this trip? It should be public knowledge. And no response. And we keep asking the question because I think it is irresponsible. I think it is actually wicked when you cut the pay of civil servants and other hardworking people when you're not paying them regularly. And then you spend 47 days away carrying a big delegation. And it is alleged spending between 2 and 3 million United States dollars. That is just unconscionable. How our president can treat us that way, can act that way. And we're all knowing the exact amount. Is, oh, there will be benefits coming, but the president been president for 5 years, so we didn't see the benefit yet, right? And he refused to tell us how much money they're spending. So to judge whether the benefit is worth it or not, you got to know how much you're investing. And they haven't told us that. So it's unconscionable. Look, it was okay for the president to perhaps make a quick trip to watch his son play one game. I don't think that's a bad thing. His son Timothy is a good football player. In fact, I congratulate him when he scored. For the U.S. I don't begrudge that. I think as a parent, and I'm a parent, I got 2 young adults here. I'm proud of them. I think it's okay for the president to go and watch his son. He should have paid his own way though, but to go and watch his son, no, he should go watch his son and congratulate his son. I think that's okay. I really don't think that's a problem. But to go and stay for as many games as he is, and it's unconscionable, it's unacceptable. And Liberians should refuse to have anybody become president treat us that way, stay away from the country that way, particularly when the country is in the state it is in, when the suffering is real, is palatable, and no excuses, and shame on President Weah for treating us that way.
Thank you. At this point, I guess have just pass it over to my colleague, Sekou Kanento, going from SKTV. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much, Lofa. Mr. Komis, thank you very much. To me, I think you're doing great in answering most of our questions, but we have a limited time to ask a lot of questions. But
if I may, let me commit to coming on your shows individually in the not too distant future, where we can have an extended conversation.
With that said, let's just set the disclaimer. I don't have thousands of people following across Africa. We only got 10 or 5. So I don't know if you want to race doing
That's
that.
okay. That's okay. But you did that before anyway. So
That was just a joke.
yeah. So Mr. Cummings, as it relate to the planned rally, because I would not call it protest.
It is a rally. Thank you.
Yeah, I've heard some people from the opposition community somehow trying to distance themselves from it. There are a lot of misconceptions out there as to what it's all about. Can you clearly tell us the objective, the motive of the rally, and what would be considered as a successful rally? That's my first question.
Yeah. So
And I want you to answer that. I'll go to the second
yeah,
question.
sure. So it is a rally because words matter. It's not just semantics, rally versus protest. In fact, to that point, Sekou, just today, no, yesterday, somebody sent me a text and they were saying, talking about a protest, and I corrected them, just like you said, it's a rally, not a protest. Um, it's it's to rally Liberians who feel marginalized, who feel disrespected, who are suffering, teachers who don't get paid a living wage, police people who don't get paid a living wage, healthcare workers, is to rally them and send a message to the president and his government, to the Liberian people at large, to the international community, that we are tired suffering, that we want change in our country. And so success will be thousands of Liberians coming out to make sure like the government understands that their behavior, their performance is unacceptable, and that come 2023, Liberians will make President Weah a one-term president. So for all Liberians in opposition, doesn't matter your political affiliation, all Liberians, doesn't matter your religion, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your tribe, because we're all feeling the challenges, we're all feeling the suffering. Come and let's send a message to President Weah and his government, Liberian people, international community, that we're tired, that we want change. And even in the last year of their performance or the leadership of the country, they need to show some difference, some improvement, because it's unacceptable the way we're being treated as a people, as a country. And so that's the message, and we want to invite and welcome. Don't try to, the people shouldn't try to discourage it. It would be peaceful. We are emphasizing that. The Minister of Justice asked the police to work with us. We're taking them at the word that they will not try to disrupt it, because we show up in numbers to send a message to the world that we're tired of this suffering and we want change for our country.
Thank you. Lastly, this is something that is lingering in the minds of many Liberians. Um, Up to this point, everything that happened to you, with you, about you, and other political actors in Liberia, is there any conversation going on for you being in negotiation with Joseph Nima Boakai? And if not, when are you going to nominate your vice president?
Two different questions, but okay. So,
It's two different questions, because the reason why people continue to talk about you talking to Boakai, because they feel like you could be Boakai VP or Boakai could be a VP,
Right.
vice versa.
Right, fair,
So
fair,
having your VP
fair.
could,
We'll kill that.
it could kill
That
that
conversation.
conversation.
Fair point. I get the connection. Makes sense. So I am not in any direct conversation with the former vice president. So the answer is we're not in conversations. I am encouraging, though, and have encouraged in prior public statements, that our political parties, in fact, all opposition parties in Liberia, should be working together on elections integrity, meaning ensuring that the elections are free, fair, transparent. We should be working together on this whole census, which is in a debacle. We should be working together, as I mentioned, election integrity, so biometric, to make sure there's integrity there. So those are things that, as opposition parties, we should have a common interest in working together on, because it's in all of our interest for election to be free, fair, and transparent. It's in our interest for the census to be well taken because it will affect the development of the country. So I'm hopeful. I'm encouraging the chairman of the CPP, Musa Bility, chairman of the ANC, who's the vice chair of the CPP, Senator Natin, to meet with their colleagues in the other political parties so we can work together and start those conversations. And that's something I support and encourage. We will be shooting to have the CPP convention sometime in February, March next year in the first quarter. And it's at that time that I will name my vice standard bearer. So within the next 3 months or so, we will be naming. We have established a vice presidential search committee. You see, we take all of these things seriously, and they are doing work. They've identified the criteria. They have started to identify people to have conversations with. So we'll put a process in place for selecting the vice standard bearer. And when I return early next week, actually I'll be getting the first summary report on people they've talked to. We've already agreed the criteria. But to answer your question directly, we'll be naming that person sometime in the first quarter next year. Exact month, day, still TBD, but sometime in the first quarter next year is at least my objective.
Thank you. We can't wait to have an interview with you because we have loaded questions. We got a lot of questions. We cannot cover everything right now. I will pass on to my colleague here.
Thank you. Once again, I'm standing out not because of disrespect, but the Southeast, when you're speaking, usually they have, when you go in the courthouse, they have these rope hanging, you put your hands up, so when you're talking, you don't get distracted. So I'm standing out as a form of respect, not to stand over people.
Well, thank you, Mr. Toll, for putting us out there like that.
That's what I do. I'm very good at that. But no, thank you very much. I hope that your media people will allow me to have a one-on-one interview because I have so many things that I want to discuss with you. Of course, we're not going to be able to cover all of them, but I'd like for you to disabuse me and other people that I've talked to. Those of us that are in the so-called media, what have you, we have conversation with friends and everybody else. What I want to find out is this. Back in the days of the Soviet Union, United States, Ronald Reagan came out with a statement, trust but verify. And I've been saying that on my own show, they're arguing and what have you. When you went into this collaboration issues and knowing Arnold Cumming, that the research that I've done, I know you at the top level, you don't make decision without consulting, you don't make decision without analyzing. But did you go into this collaboration with the other political party, trusting but not verifying? Trusting in a sense, so that just give me one second.
No, please.
Trusting in a sense that they are Liberians for you, from mine, and this is what I've been arguing, and I don't really care what people say, that's my belief. But I believe that you went in there with the intent of contributing to the upliftment of the people. And my argument also was, well, I don't want to give that. But did you go into this without trusting?
Yeah, so
Have you verified?
yeah, so I always go into relationships assuming good intent on the part of the other person. I often say on this particular dimension, where we talk about trust, there are two kinds of people on the trust dimension. But half of the people in the world, they go into relationships not trusting. You got to earn their trust, right? And then when you earn it, they become very loyal to you. There's the other side of people that go into a relationship where you have to lose their trust. They go into a relationship already trusting, and then you lose it based on your behavior. And when you lose it, right? Just like the other people, when you gain it, you kind of gain it for life. I'm one of those that go to a relationship assuming good intent, giving people trust. Um, in the case of, so I went to this in the CBB relationship with that view because that's how I'm wired. That's how I am. But I also knew the possibility that it wouldn't work. I can't tell you, Samson, the number of people that came to me and said, don't do this. There were even people in the ANC. This thing will not work, So I would have been naive to not have considered the possibility that it may not have worked. The way it happened, right? Lots of lessons in there. The fact that, my colleagues, accused me of changing the agreement, which was untrue, went to court to testify against me. That whole process was very disappointing. I mean, to be honest, extremely disappointing. So even though I considered the possibility that it may not work, I did thought maybe they would just look, we're not interested, we walk away, and which would have been fine. Um, but the way to try to destroy my character, my values, my integrity, that was a bit of surprise. But you live and learn, as you said. One of you said that you never stop learning. Nobody should fool themselves think you understand human nature. You will be surprised and shocked based on that, right? So uh, I knew the possibility that it wouldn't work. That would have been naive. But because the passion for Liberia, the fact that together we would have been stronger, and there's no question about that. I thought it was worth the risk. It was worth the trial. And I said consistently throughout that process that if we just had followed the process we agreed, whatever the outcome, I would have supported, right? But obviously, we are where we are. But it's okay. We continue to make progress. We have momentum. The CPP still exists, and more political parties will join us. I'm very confident in the next, few weeks and months here. We will be on the ballot, and with the momentum we have, the hard work we're doing, we'll be successful come October. So next year this time we'll be planning for the transition.
One last question I was thinking, and that is, you've been going after this since the last election, and most of your time has been spent in Liberia as well. And you have observed and seen a lot of things. Since the last election, when President Weah took office, since then, from then to this time, do you think there's one thing or two? What can you tell us that something President Weah have done that perhaps you can give him credit for?
Yeah, just to your earlier point, I have spent all my time in Liberia. In fact, I've traveled less than the president has in the last 5 years. Yeah, he president, I'm not. And I only come away for very specific meetings, reasons, and for very short periods of time, and I'm back home where I should be, making my case to our people and country. But something without trying to be, you know, mean or cruel, or I find it hard pressed to identify something significant that President Weah has done in the last 5 years. Because as president, with the authority you are given, with the trust Liberians put in you, with the compensation they pay you, you gotta be able to in your first term, you gotta be able to point to things that are substantial, that have substantially changed and improved the lives of Liberian people. And it's a fact that has not happened. Liberia and Liberians are worse off today than they were when President Weah became president. It is just a fact. They will make all kinds of excuses. They will blame the opposition. They will say all kinds of things. First of all, the blame and stuff is not correct, it's not true. But it is also a fact, whatever the reasons, it's a fact that the country is worse off today than it was when President Weah became president. It's a fact. So it's nothing we can point to that says the president did. Is the healthcare system better than it was? No. Is the educational system better than it was? No. Is the agricultural Are we growing more food than we were? No. Is infrastructure better? No. They built a few small roads in and around Mosrado County. So if they want to take credit for that, fine. But for 5 years, is that substantial enough? Has that impacted the lives of the people in Nima, in Bong, in Grand Bassa, in Maryland? The answer is no. So not being, unkind for a person who promised so much, who Liberians have so much hope in, a person who has failed us. And I think it's just a fact. All the facts will point to that. Unemployment is higher. The Liberian dollar is worth less today than it was in the past. People are making less money, civil servants, it's a fact. They're not getting paid regularly, it's a fact. Those are all the realities. The president can't make any excuses for that. Has he brought any substantial new business to the country with all his travel? No. Facts, 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 facts. So, Samson, there's nothing I can point to that substantial that the president has done in the 5 years he's been president.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to everyone. We have exhausted our time, but we would like to hear from Mr. Cummings on his parting comments to the Liberian people. Um, I thought of throwing a question about the diaspora, but when you come on SKTV, we'll have that conversation just to not keep you too long, considering there is an event in the next 2 hours or so forth here. So we'd like to say thank you for the time. Thanks to the ANC Global, the CPP, Alexander Cummings supporters, independent supporter of Alexander Cummings. Thank you for inviting us to your program here. I want to say thanks a lot, and let's have the final word from you, please.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Samson, Sekou, and Lofa, for very good interaction and good conversation. Let me thank the ANC Global partisans for hosting this event, particularly from the West region. Ilas Morgan, who's here with us. I want to thank him, Nawali Washington, and the entire leadership for this event. I want to thank our CPP partisans, our Liberty Party colleagues who may be here with us, other ANC partisans, CPP USA. Thank you all for your belief and support. I want to say to the Liberian people, we are committed to our country, to bringing the change Liberia deserves. I want to encourage Liberians who are suffering to come and peacefully join us on December 17th. We're going to hold this government again accountable to make sure that rally is peaceful. And I want to, in this public manner, go on record as saying is our intent that it will be peaceful. And I want President Weah and his administration to make sure that is the case. And our international partners to understand that we are simply exercising our democratic right to assemble and to share with our government our suffering and our displeasure with their performance. So again, thank you all. We'll be home early next week and traveling the length and breadth of Liberia to make the case to have the opportunity to serve our country. For those who I have the opportunity to say happy holidays to you and your families, and Godspeed in 2023 and beyond. God bless you and God bless Liberia. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.